when it comes to Sacrifice, it's the same thing. All of these players are playing through to a regional spot, and the regionals are where it is make or break. If you're a European player or within that region, you have a good chance of getting sent to the Quake World Championship Finals live at QuakeCon. Looks like we have a lobby up. Let's have a look. We saw some nicks, some saw lag. No surprises here.
This is a wooden desk. I'm touching wood to hope that this is going to work. This is going to be the lobby.
We'll keep everything crossed.
This will be the final lobby of this series, and we will be locked in for the rest of the map. Blood Covenant map 1. I mean, let's just hope. Let's just hope.
Hopefully it works out.
I noticed you're not doing it. I mean,
okay, sorry.
jinx us.
There we go. I've done it as well. So this is a very sort of traditional team comp we've just seen. We saw Sorlag, we saw Nyx. We're probably going to see a lot of what we're already familiar with. Good mobility coming out of those light champions. Good solid defending coming out from those tanky champions. I think it's going to come down to coordination, though. Sacrifice is all about coordination. It's fast-paced. If some of you guys haven't seen Sacrifice, be prepared for one of the fastest things you have ever watched.
If you've not seen this game mode, you are in for a treat. We're going to be seeing some crazy basketball style, just quick passes, throwing the soul all over the place, scrambles to getting that obelisk control, lots and lots of frags. Like, if you think you've seen...
You die a lot in Sacrifice. That is just uncontestable.
There are a lot of deaths in this game mode, but it's so fast, and the respawn timers are so generous. And it's all about, you know, positioning, reacting to the situation, knowing where your team are, knowing what champions are around, knowing what your team has as a whole, and getting to where you need to be. And obviously, more than anything else, being accurate. At the end of the day, it is an FPS. Teamwork will only get you so far if you're not good at getting those 1v1 kills, which will pop up quite often. So we're going to be looking for that a lot, looking for general accuracy of these players, how quick on the draw they can be at getting those frags first. But we are going to be going into our first round. So REunite versus Defiance, the first game of Sacrifice in week number 2. Let's get this started.
REunite appearing as blue, Defiance appearing as red. Immediately going in with the gauntlet kill. Cosmar managing to sort of steal that rail. Misses the first one though with an early Anarchy. Not a lot of health for that. Now, the soul's going to spawn any second now. Whoever gets this soul first, this is where the matchup will become very important for both teams.
Nyx though, so it looks like Defiance do have that small champion kind of locked down.
Oh, Sorlag got caught with the rail, but the second one does fail to connect. There we go. The important thing was not the fact that he got fragged there, but that he was able to secure the obelisk that he wanted to take. The frag was fine. Now the obelisks are set, and there is nothing the teams can do to swap them round until the next round.
REunite opting to favor obelisk A by choice. Usually we do see teams sort of favor B so far, going by last week. But obviously each team can be different in that respect, but a lot of frags coming out near obelisk B as expected. This is what it's going to look like a lot of the time as these teams contest for this obelisk to see what's going to be happening there.
Now the soul gets commanded, but trying to trade it all the way back. Sorlag once again gets it heavily stacked, so it's going to be quite good to deliver it, but has he got enough health? The second you get focused down by those rockets and those rails, even the biggest amount of health and armor will get swiftly deleted.
So it's roughly 2 seconds per percentage in the sort of increments as it goes up, and obviously 100 being the ultimate goal. But you can see just how much of a difference it can make. If you do manage to steal the soul away for just a few seconds, you can sort of put it in your favor, as already it seems REunite a little bit of a lead, but they are actually managing to defend it as well.
Yeah, you can see Subs actually tried to get nicely stacked up before this fight. Having these tanky champions with max health and armor to defend a point is very, very key, but walking straight into the Dire Orb, that does big damage when it detonates.
Indeed, we see that sort of point being contested roughly. Looks like they're able to get the soul away, but a bit of a brawl going on there right now.
Now right here.
Oh, Defiance held onto it, but they do drop it, and Fabs on the side of REunite is able to secure it once again.
But the thing is, Defiance put so much into trying to command that obelisk and take the soul back. There was no one there to defend the actual power-up.
Oh, it's
in this
protection.
Case, yep, it's going to be protection.
Anarchy got it as well. We can see how dangerous it can be when these really fast champions get hold of the protection, and Anarchy. A defending Anarchy can be deceivingly hard to deal with, and when you put protection on him, it just got a lot worse.
Well, the one thing to factor in, no rail in hand, no LG, no rockets. He has a rocket launcher, but no ammunition, so...
Only a super shotgun, and if he gets close enough, he has to get Anarchy. He is squishy, so if he gets focused down here, he is going to be in severe amounts of trouble. This is his only choice, just getting some weaponry to do some damage.
Yeah, I think he went in there to just... Oh, ouch. I think he went in there to just try and do a little bit of damage before the protection ran out, but even though he didn't really get any frags with protection, the important thing is Defiance didn't have it. And if they don't have it, it's going to be very difficult for them to push anything. And look at the percentage, 64% already on the side of REunite, but Butcher with it in hand, and Scalebearer as well. If he can get a good charge to deliver it, it's going to be a safe deliverance.
It looks like you've been charged alone. A couple of people on the side of Defiance here to stop him. A nice swift rocket jump just to get him towards the obelisk, and just to stop it down. But it looks like Defiance do have the number advantage here right now. 3 of them looking to stop this. Oh, it's a contested. Yeah, not quite in time. There we go, Defiance. All four of them now here, positioned to defend this obelisk, and we can see REunite starting to try and go into together perhaps, but right now we can see it's just a lone Sorlag right now. Anarchy joins her on the point to try and contest. Yeah, that's damage coming through, but it is an Anarchy. They're going to trade some frags for frags.
Nick's really trying to see, has the soul in hand, gets fragged immediately though. Are they going to be able to deliver it? Probably not. Now, obviously when the soul is not being exchanged and it's not on an obelisk, there's going to be no percentage building up. So this is almost like a stalemate situation. Both teams need to be really coordinated. And
a wonderful chase down from Cosmar, but he will drop down immediately. It's a nice attempt, but look at Defiance, just have more people here trying to get him away. And just to throw the soul away, chases it down, does drop, but one was able there to try and stop it, but Butcher able to intercept him, keeping hold of the soul, taking it straight back to point B. Now, even then though,
when the soul trades back and forth, the power-up has only just spawned. But as you can see, Defiance, every single person going on there, now they have the protection in hand, which means it's going to be very easy for them to push this obelisk. Cosmar looking nice and healthy, almost full HP. And look how little damage he's taken from this almost direct rocket, still 74 health left. He's going to go in for a big defend.
Controlling the rail though as well, taking those weapons away from REunite. It's going to be harder for them to make this comeback, or say comeback, to reclaim this soul, I should say, so they can keep their lead. Cosmar protection runs away. No, Money gets that last minute frag with that rocket launcher, doing so much damage point blank.
This percentage is actually starting to trade back and forth at this point. 50% on the side of Defiance. All they need is an extra 14 now to even things up, and 14% can go quite quickly if you're defending the point well. And it's not going to trade back and forth.
Speaking of defending well though, Defiance really able to just put up this brick wall so far. REunite trickling in a few at a time and just aren't able to make these frags count. Defiance just hitting the hits. But as I can say that, Fabs with the sneaky from behind. There we go. Looks like all four of them here are able to just command this soul away. Defiance, one lone Blastowicz there trying to stop it. But he's actually doing an amazing job. He actually stopped them from taking it by himself. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think Fabs did a really, really smart job of actually sort of just holding that point and keeping them from defending it so easy. But over this stage, Defiance, they've actually taken the lead now. They've only got a little bit of percentage left to go. Wix gets that frag on Fabs. And at this stage, Defiance doing a good job of defending. And defending is what they do really well. We saw them play last week against a really dangerous Russian squad, and very close one.
Oh, nice direct rocket. I mean, right now, it looks like REunite are trying to sort of just go on head on. They're not really utilizing either of these side doors too much. And as soon as he does, looks like they're able to quite easily contest this. But Wix with that long-range rail.
Now, at this stage, the power-up is about to spawn, but with 96% left to go, if they get the power-up, they've got to be really quick. Speaking of being quick, hang on a minute, Anarchy going really quickly away with that soul. However, the enemy team, which is Defiance, have the quad damage.
Oh, and it's on Blastowicz. That is dangerous times. He does have that dual wield available as well. If he pops that, nothing will be able to survive.
A dual wield quad damage, I think we're just about to see it. Is he going to pop it as he comes in? Minimal nails connect. Hang on a minute, they're going to take this one back. Used quite a lot of the quad damage to actually make it to the point, but he's going to do a really good job of defending here with that quad. A quad rocket, make that 2 rockets, gets fragged himself, but he did a fantastic job of just pushing and taking the soul.
Oh, speaking of which, though, they managed to, I believe, kill him before he was able to drop the soul off. And oh no, Piccalele tries to get away, but he gets intercepted mid-rocket jump and gets dropped down. Butcher, once again, with this LG, just defending so well. Going to drop this off. He does die to acid.
Now, these last moments of chaos are unbelievably quick, and they can be absolutely game-changing. But Defiance, all they have to do is get one more percentage, but you can see REunite absolutely fighting for their lives to just deliver, but not quite.
Oh, the Subs is there to pick up the pieces, able to drop it off. Now we find ourselves with 20% left to go. This is 80 to 99. This could be a very close round.
Subs took a lot of damage to do that, though. He is not healthy at all. He gets hit by one rail. I was just about to say he's going to be very, very vulnerable to those long-range attacks. But they have the soul now. They've got to be very careful. Fearless trying to bring it back. Not particularly healthy.
Yeah, it's quite a distance to go. He is going to get intercepted again, though. Subs is there. Oh, Sierraberry, he jukes out the charge, sort of doubles himself back, tricks him out, 87% to 99. If he can drop this off, that'll put his team in a very good situation, but outnumbered now 2-1 here. Oh, into the face. All of them connect, and Fearless goes down immediately.
That was just unbelievably violent. And look at the back actually.
The Cosmar from the grave, Direwolf kill.
The percentage is building. 99% on Defiance, but look, is it 99 versus 99? No, it's been taken away.
Pikalele able to get that gauntlet kill to hold onto it right now, but oh, we got it! Wow, there we go. REunite, after having a bit of a shaky mid-round, able to take it back and hold onto it, despite fighting against a quad damage at the end.
Now, that was definitely one way to kickstart this broadcast. 99% versus 99% at the last possible minute. If only they held that point for an... I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but... When an entire team only needed to hold their obelisk for like an extra 2 seconds...
That's 2 seconds of defending somewhere down the line. So if you were late on the mark by a couple of seconds at any point, if you know, didn't get the soul first things first, all those things can come back to haunt you later on, especially if it comes down between the difference of 1 second. Even though Cosmar able to take 2 health packs, still ate so much damage from the acid there.
Yeah, they traded 1 for 1, but with that scale bearer charge, no doubt that frag was to also secure the soul and safely run it down, and Defiance with a very early lead. Doing a good job of defending once again.
Defend point B. Enemy has the soul.
Soul goes down again. Bear in mind, 13% is not a massive lead. You can easily build that percentage back up.
More especially when it's someone like Anarchy. Look at the speed in which you can just take it from point B to A.
But I think this is why Anarchy is so unbelievably important to run the soul. However, he does need sufficient defense. You know, he needs someone to sort of really sit there, look out for him. By no means can Anarchy tank an entire team, focusing him down. He doesn't have health or armor for that. Fab doesn't quite get the gauntlet. Loads of players trying to get those last-minute gauntlet kills, but neither of which are going to work out. In this game mode, actually, gauntlet is a very, very viable weapon to use because there's so much damage, there's so much chaos going on. You can easily get those close-range attacks that do 80 damage each time, and nice. Chunking that out
of these super nails, though, 20 at a time.
Just chunking
that
it.
Can be devastating, especially against these smaller champions.
Defiance pretty much at 30% already.
Much stronger round for them this time, though. I think it comes down to just the fact that they got the soul first. And this was a lot of what REunite struggled with in the first round, was seizing the soul away. But once they held onto it, it's just like the complete opposite. They have managed to drop it off this time. Looks like Defiance lost a lot of their team in the process, so they're going to get a couple of guaranteed seconds of clarity, I suppose, at least.
REunite really sitting on that power.
Oh, quad damage.
Bear in mind, that's coming from a Nyx that's very weak. She's only got 30 health, so she can easily get shredded by something. But with that quad damage, what she has to do is get a couple of hits. Is it going to be enough? No, didn't manage to get a single frag because the opponents were just too healthy. And now that quad is sitting pretty in the corner.
Unfortunately left by herself, though. That was the biggest problem there. Oh, but something's able to secure the quad back himself for his team. They are here now in fourth. Goes straight into a quad damage super shotgun.
Ouch.
That is annihilation.
Once again, REunite have been able to take that percentage lead. They're now sitting on 36% and climbing. Defiance need to do something about getting the soul back. You can see them sort of really clustered together. Those sort of group pushes are unbelievably important.
This is big though. Subs doesn't have access to a rail. Oh, the acid comes out. There we go. That is just the strength of this champion on sacrifices, being able to spit that acid all over the objective and just taking some practically guaranteed damage to anyone that wants to be greedy enough to take it away. Lily goes down. Oh, but Monet again. There, the unsung hero with the mega health too. So a very healthy Nyx.
Look at all that armor shard on the floor as well. They just take, bear in mind, when you pick up the armor shard, it will sort of overcharge your armor without having to collect a heavy armor.
And there we go, seeing able to take the soul by standing on the obelisk itself. It looks like Defiance having a really big problem just seizing this soul away and getting it distance, because as soon as they get it away from this, it seems that REunite, that sort of, not on the immediate point itself, but that sort of like distance, that mild distance in between, you know, where you sort of have to go in one of those 2 waves to sort of defend. It looks like REunite doing a great job of just holding on those sort of chokehold points specifically.
Power-up's going to appear in 15 seconds, but as you can see here, Defiance really trying to bring this one back. Trading back and forth, just literally back and forth.
It's a sacrifice though when it comes down to those heavy encounters. You know, it's important. Let's not forget REunite have a 67% point lead right now. Defiance with 30. Oh, Butcher using the damage reduction of that Scale Bearer charge. That's why this champion is so good. Look at how much damage he didn't take a Blastbit with the Gauntlet out, the lone defender. But this is a protected Anarchy, and that's what we're talking about with how hard he becomes to kill.
You very rarely see an Anarchy tank that much, and those 2 health items that he's collected is going to be more than enough to push this point. He's not by himself either, so they have to really try and divert some of this tension. Still alive, Anarchy has access to the soul. They've passed it on to Sorlag, who's now going to make that run all the way back. Anarchy has survived this entire sequence because of that protection. He's got fragged here, but they did such a good job of bringing it back.
But I mean, just like that, it does. Yeah, that's just like that. REunite are able to get hold of the soul once again. So even though they lost a bunch of champions in the process, they still increased this lead even more. Defiance only able to get about 12% roughly on the board with that attack. And as I can say that, I mean, every 2 seconds it's going up. We're looking 18% away from the end of the first map. REunite looking very strong.
Now that super nail gun, it really serves that purpose of area denial. Sort of creating a little bit of spam in one area, so it's difficult for the opponents to come through without taking massive damage. The rate of fire combined with the fact that it's 20 damage per nail, that is a dangerous area to try and go in. However, speaking of dangerous, Defiance making a major push at this stage, trying to take
a
the
lot
soul.
of frags. I mean, just look at the kill feed. So many of them are going down. REunite trying to position themselves near the obelisk, not let them capture it safely.
They're putting up,
falls down. Cosmar.
They've got that 3-man defense on Obelisk B, but with everyone around, is it going to be enough? I wonder if Butcher's gonna...
He's being careful. He wants to make sure that it's a clear point to go to, but you can see, I mean, a lot of his teammates are dropping down. REunite only have 5% left to go, and they've intercepted him. They did manage to get the kill on Piccalele. Once again, we can see Anarchy, the speed. If he can get this in, that's going to be a big problem for Defiance.
At this stage, Defiance needs to make a choice. It's 5 seconds till the power-up spawns, but it may not be enough. Actually, probably not at all. They should not have gone for the power-up.
There's no one close enough. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I don't think going for the power-up, I said make a choice, but that was before we saw that last-minute percentage and just how fast it was going. Normally, at the end of those round situations, the team that's on the back foot that needs to recontrol an obelisk, they need to make that decision of, do we go for the power-up first and then make a push as fast as possible and get the soul back with our power-up in hand? Or do we allow the enemy team to get the power-up and we just try and go in and sneak behind and take the soul and try and just survive the onslaught that will come with a 4-man team with the power-up? In that situation, I think there was so much percentage down, they just did not have the time. They had no option but to go for Obelisk, but because they went for the power-up, it was an absolutely free Obelisk, and that was just a free second round.
I mean, hindsight's a beautiful thing, right? It's quite easy to see the result of what happened and then say, oh, I guess they should have done the other thing. But when you've got a team of four players in that situation, they know the power-up spawning at the same time. They can see that they're about to capture the obelisk, and you have like split seconds to make big decisions.
You understand?
Not even individually, as a team, to go, right, guys, what are we going to do here? The power-up's coming up. We need that to win. If they secure it, they're going to win for sure. But the obelisk's there. Like they have very small amount of time to make those decisions. And I do believe we've just been told that Ruins of Sarnath will be our second map. Now, this is a very interesting map for Sacrifice for a couple of reasons, but if anything, champion selection is quite specific here.
Defiance on this map played really well last week. We saw them just put up an amazing job of just defending, made some pretty cool comebacks as well. And I think this was a comfortable map for them, and they looked very, very strong in it, which is no doubt why we've seen Defiance, I think, manually pick this map after losing the first. So it makes a lot of sense. At this stage, you almost feel like it might be one of the maps that they just play the strongest, and they might feel that way, and that's why they've gone for it. But maps in particular, they are incredibly varied. You talked about how champions do make a big difference on each map. Anarchy, a very distinct, strong champion on that last map we saw.
But I will say, though, you know, the team that had the Anarchy, the REunite, they were able to take that first map, and a lot of it came down to just how powerful this champion seemed to be in the hands of someone that's good at using the character, obviously. It just came down to, when he got the soul, if you don't have an Anarchy of your own, how do you catch up to him? Like, if he slips away, a big part of that match was Defiance getting the soul and just not being able to get it back in time. Because as you take out some frags to get the soul, the enemy team will then respawn sort of in between, ready to stop you from handing it in freely. And they just didn't have the speed. They did have, they had a Nyx Ranger, maybe could use the Dire Orb in a certain situation, but a Scale Bearer and Blazkowicz, Scaleberry are good at doing it safely, but again, not as fast as other champions. And Blazkowicz just isn't a mobility character. So it did seem that they were good at defending because they had just the sheer amount of damage output and DPS amongst their team composition. But when it came to seizing the soul away and safely getting it back to their own obelisk, they didn't have as healthy of a composition to do that. Whereas REunite had Anarchy, they had Sorlag, Ranger, and Nyx. Whereas their team was quite versatile and can kind of do both. It seemed that Defiance was very damage heavy, which normally isn't as good at seizing the soul away back to your own.
But if there is one map that Anarchy does really well on, it's going to be Ruins of Sarnath as well. He has a lot of room to essentially just zip around all over the shop.
But Butcher back on the Galena that we saw last week.
Indeed. This was a pick that we saw Butcher do a really good job with last week. Looking really strong on this champion and with Ruins of Sarnath. This is, I mean, we said that this is a good map for Anarchy, but it's also a very good map for Galena also. She has lots of different rooms, just be a nuisance, a real nuisance with those totems, particularly on the obelisk locations where you kind of put that totem down on the obelisk. It's kind of hard to see in the heat of battle. You may not see the glow from the totem itself, run into it.
A crucial thing about Galena in team modes like this, though, you know, sort of with the totems in mind, like you're mentioning, her passive, where she takes seconds off of her cooldown for her ability by picking up health pickups. That counts for mega health. That takes like half of the cooldown off by itself almost, or roughly I should say. And then obviously the smaller pickups around, which there are more of in this game mode, will individually do a good job of bringing those totems back up to life. So whereas in Duel, that passive doesn't become as prominent necessarily because you kind of don't want to be at lower health in Duel. You want to be topped up all the time, so you're not as often going to be running around picking up those small healths because you're going to be healing yourself on your totems. In a team mode like Sacrifice, where you take damage all the time and there is more health pickups than in Duel, that passive becomes a lot easier to utilize.
It's just one of those reasons of which Galena, her utility just explodes in a team-based mode because everything kind of complements the way that she works. It's not going to be 100% damage and aggressive purposes that you would see in a 1v1 setting, where Galena, the totems, with the exception of putting on herself to give her that last-minute health boost, it's all aggressive, really offensive. Whereas in this mode, it's pretty much a mixture of both. Now we'll see.
Can I say though, a player called Fearless playing Blazkowicz, is there anything more fitting?
It just works, doesn't it?
Indeed, we can see sort of 18 seconds roughly is when this soul spawns, and yeah, that's actually going to be really, really good for Defiance. Able to get the majority of these first frags. Fearless looking quite healthy, but about to go down. Abs with that rocket launcher, and just as I can say that, REunite looks like they're able to take it. Now, which obelisk do they prefer? Going straight to B? Yes, they are.
Looking like obelisk B right now, and they have delivered it. So throughout this entire round, there's no options there. You can see Galena actually on the left-hand side, that blue totem. Anyone that uses the teleporter and it's not on that team, is going to take big damage coming out. Has been destroyed though.
So is there a Galena on each team?
Oh, I saw a blue totem. I'll have a look.
There is Fabs. Yes. So actually gone from Ranger, I think. I might have lost the Ranger and gone to Galena. Interesting.
Now we'll definitely see how this pans out. Butcher manages to secure that frag as well. REunite, they've got to really try and push this one because REunite defending it. Currently though, only a couple of champions, but that's enough to at least trade out.
Speaking of trade, though, we actually said this quite a lot last week, and I think, again, it's going to be very true today. If you trade out frag for frag constantly, but your team is holding the obelisk, those trades are always in your favor. So if the enemy team has to respawn, run to the obelisk, try and take it away, your team obviously is constantly gaining a percentage, as I can say that, but you're able to run away with the soul. Defiance doing a good job of getting some frags there, cleanly getting it away. Looks like REunite, they in the position to try and stop, peppering some rockets down, able to secure it. That's the important thing. So now the percentage will start to climb up. That totem coming out to get a little bit of health regeneration, but will not save her from a rail and machine gun from that far away.
Yeah, well, it saved Butcher from that rail, but just that little bit of heavy machine gun fire coming on the far distance wasn't going to save her from that one. Now the power-up spawning in, actually the mega health and power-up spawning at exactly the same time, so if they can secure protection and mega health on one team, that's going to be a very sort of pivotal advantage.
All four members of REunite here, and it's quad damage, and it goes the way of Sorlag. This could be very dangerous, but he does drop instantly. Wix with these super nailgun shots, doing a great job of securing it. Oh, and Mon is able to sneak it right from under his feet and shoot him in retaliation. Really good play from Mono.
Now this is a very fantastic power-up for trying to seize the objective, but a Nyx with 50 health is going to be very vulnerable to even the smallest high-damage weapon. However, pushing forward, and they now have got access to the soul, but no doubt we'll see Monet sort of sit on the sidelines and use this quad aggressively as more of a support method than running the soul with the quad damage and just being even easier to spot.
Big Lady has all of it now. Anarchy, oh no, gets body blocked. Fearless with the gauntlet to Anarchy saying, no you don't, this is mine. Cosmar able to secure it down, taking a ton of damage, but plenty of health around to try and top him up. Now we can see Defiance able to take the lead.
Yeah, they have that percentage lead now. Oh! Percolate trying to run in there with the gauntlet, but walking straight into a rail and a rocket bang on the aggressive Nyx. Re-emerging.
Oh, the assassination!
Minimal damage, and because of that, he manages to get the gauntlet kill. These frags.
The defensive rail connecting, and he gets the second one. And oh no, misses the third.
Well, Barrett, that's one of the things to pay attention to is that Anarchy can control his air movement, so if he hits a jump pad, it's much easier for him to stay unpredictable. But Percolate with 3 HP does manage to deliver the soul. That was a last-minute delivery, absolutely.
The Defiance, though, able to get themselves up to 51%. That's quite significant. Already contesting it. The dual wheel comes out, Fearless. Oh, the blade!
Oh, no! That was just violent. Straight through the dual wheel, gauntlet to the face.
Let's not forget that quite a hefty cooldown on the dual wheel, though, so he's not going to be able to do it for quite some time. But again, Wix being a bit of a surgeon with these rail shots at the moment. Oh, wow, I can say that. Another one. Oh! Big Lady getting stuck on the wall again.
Oh, that's a scramble. Everyone in one location just trying to take it. Percolate does manage to secure the soul, but again with minimal health, he wasn't going to be able to hold off too heavily. But 3 seconds, the power-up's going to spawn. No doubt we're going to see them fight for it, and in this case, it's quad damage. Wix has access to it.
This is an amazing situation for Defiance, though. They have hold of the soul. Big Lady trying to defend, but cannot do it. The totem comes through, but subs with the rail to do it by himself. But they're going to be coming in with quad damage. I think they have positioned themselves, so we can see Defiance starting to get some more percentage, starting to rack up.
Well, on that point, subs actually stood on the totem and then ate a rail. So even though he had a nice amount of health, it was completely shredded by the 80 damage rail and 75 damage totem.
Oh, that 320 rail. That is ludicrous.
Yeah, this was a great defense for them. Actually wasting a little bit of time, actually. He didn't deliver the soul as quickly. May lose a couple of percentage because
we
of
saw
that.
The very first round of the day go down to 99. That's the kind of mistake we can see come back to bite the team in the bum a little bit later on. Hopefully the same thing doesn't happen this time. Someone here in force. They have the numbers. One shot from anything.
Oh, no!
Machine gun bullet from afar will do it. Oh, but subs again here. Managed to mop up.
Fearless standing on the acid
that was
puddle.
just a really delayed rail shot for a second.
Just standing in the acid puddle. Those 3 ticks was all it took. Clearly Fearless with not much HP left. But you can see how fast these frags will trade back and forth. You just need to make sure that when you are alive, do the most damage you can while you have that life, because it doesn't last. And then when it resets, you got to try again and again until the round is over.
But you can see him just trying to throw the soul away like a hot potato. He just don't want it to go the way of Defiance at all. You can see him here just defending. Gone on to it, Cosmar gets that rocket kill. Big Lady tries to get him in. He also drops down, looking like a really strong round. Oh my goodness, what is happening?
A lot of people are going down, but those defensive gauntlets in those real scramble situations, using the Ghost Walk to nullify the acid, and Fearless quite appropriately running headfirst into those gauntlets and getting so many frags for his trouble.
It's like he misses his chainsaw. He's like, this is the next best thing. This will do.
Now we have 6 seconds. Power-up's going to spawn.
Yeah, you can see REunite really trying to hold this power up now. I think they're realizing that they're not really quite able to take it away. But the protection goes the way of Fearless, who's been doing such a good job of just getting so many kills.
This may have been the end of days. It's 130 ammo left in the LG. That is more than enough for this next fight. He's not going to take any damage. 10 seconds away, and he's going to have dual wield as well. He can tank every ounce of this damage. And they just can't hold this off. Yeah, every single one of them goes down. REunite will lose this round, and Defiance looking really strong, and no wonder why they picked this map.
That was really strong for them, though. You know, Wix and Fearless just being the absolute defensive powerhouses there. We talked before the series about how important it can be to just get those clutch frags and be ridiculously good with your aim in those situations, and that is exactly why. Fearless able to get hold of that protection, becomes invincible. Well, not invincible, but practically invincible. Super hard to kill.
In some cases may as well be. If you've got full health, you're basically invincible. Once more, Fearless gets that mega health just to hold off a little bit longer. No doubt saving his dual wield for when the soul spawns, and just to deny that. And now Defiance. They have the soul. Good damage too, however, the ticking down over time effect is going to hurt Blasphemous quite substantially.
Now they optionally choose to go for B this time. So even though Defiance were quite comfortably able to take A, they still do prefer B.
I wonder if it's because it was almost like a slip away effect, where there was so much combat going on near A. I think they almost, REunite might have expected them to go towards A because of that. We obviously just saw Cosmar really sneak behind and deliver it to B instead. And because of that, look at how much percentage, already 15%. That's a substantial chunk, not even a minute into the match.
Just like you said, we saw Defiance being absolutely incredible.
Now, that is why Galena on this map is lethal. Fabs just got melted by that totem. You going through the teleporter right there.
But I've already seen, you already said how strong Defiance were on this map, particularly last week, and it's no surprise they picked it again, because just look, they're clearly well practiced on this one in particular. And already 30% and climbing. This is a great start for Defiance. Looking one round away from tying things up.
Power-up won't be here for quite some time either. They can defend solidly until that point. They're going to give themselves one hell of a lead. 40% already, but the soul does get taken. Monet throwing it away. Doesn't survive the exchange, but the soul is at least away from the obelisk. Cosmar throwing it back. Throwing over the wall is definitely a preferred tactic here. If before you get fragged, just throw that soul as far enough away as possible. Make the enemy waste those precious seconds to get it back.
Well, it's that insurance policy, right? It's, I'm probably going to die here, but at the very least I can make it inconvenient for the enemy team. Because that totem put down, though, just trying to zone off. The problem with the totems is they are quite vulnerable to rocket fire, but if your entire team is there and you're actually controlling the rocket launcher, then it can be good. As I can say that Defiance have control of the quad damage, and they still have the obelisk. This could be a 100% clean sweep by Defiance.
Cosmar with that quad is going to do major damage. Still a nice amount of health, but taking that ticking over effect. Monet up behind with the assassination of the gauntlet, and now has the quad damage himself. Here we go, so many frags off the default machine gun. It just doesn't matter. You do so much damage, any weapon becomes dangerous.
All throws the soul down towards Sorlag. Stops is able to move this away. You see Defiance already
swiftly
getting this back in.
Swiftly headed off right there. Two members of Defiance lying in wait. They take so many frags. We do see a suicide from Wix, so he's not going to be alive for this push until he respawns.
Oh,
so
so
many.
many trying to stop him, but Fearless able to intercept the soul straight away, and now we can find they're going to be able to add up to this. There we go, passes it over to Cosmar, who captures it, and 75%, 3/4 of the way down. Only 25% left to go, and they will tie things out, but they are contesting it.
Here comes the Cosmar though, fully stacked, almost full health, loads of armor to work with. That's going to be a very dangerous defense. And speaking of it, I mean, like, look, 83% already and still climbing. Right now, REunite just have not had an answer for this point.
Oh, Piccalilli with that mid-air rail, though. Able to contest this. But as I can say, Defiance always doing such a good job. Unfortunately, that's actually not the first time Piccalilli's done that. In these clutch situations, he is unfortunately fumbling the soul a little bit too much.
Oh, Fearless threw the soul actually, and it bounced into a very inconvenient ledge that people are struggling to take.
Oh,
Actually, give Babs the opening he needs to throw it over the wall, but look at how many members of Defiance are there to reclaim.
But that's the important thing, though, recovery. How does your team recover and get hold of these situations? It seems to be quite a scramble. They were able to come off the top. Piccalilli going to go down most likely, yeah. LG from behind, definitely going to do it. 10% left to go. This could be 20 seconds left in this round.
Now the power-up's going to spawn once more. A couple of members of Defiance there to try and seize it, but just members of REunite consistently going down. This has not been their round at all. And Wix, with all of that health, and mega health and protection, there was nothing they were going to do to defend that. Defiance, quite appropriately, defying that obelisk in that entire round.
No, they just had a really strong map, and that is the one they chose. That's what we expect to see, right? I mean, I don't want to go ahead and assume that's just automatically their most comfortable map, but both times we've seen Defiance on that map, particularly, they have done very, very well, and that's kind of what we're expecting to see. But that also means that we cannot see Covenant, Blood Covenant, I should say, and we can't see Ruins of Sarnath anymore. That opens up Burial Chamber and
Lockbox. It's the fourth and final map.
What do you think we might see? Because case in point, it didn't really look like specific champions were being too much of an issue there as a whole, aside from obviously the Blazkowicz just doing ridiculous amounts of damage. But overall, it just seemed that Defiance just looked like a stronger unit on that map. So in this situation, what do? Like, a big thing could maybe be walls and less options to accidentally throw the soul and get it caught on doorways and platforms.
Did seem to be quite an inconvenience for REunite on the Obelisk B on that second round, where they were really struggling to get that soul out of the area. I mean, just getting the soul is one thing, but being able to safely escort the soul away from the obelisk so they can't just frag you and then immediately bring it back is an entirely different story. They really struggled. That entire room, that entire just area before you go into those two doorways or the jump pad on the right, they couldn't get it away from there.
But it looked like Defiance did a really good job of playing around the Anarchy that time. Whenever we saw Piccalilli was able to get hold of the Soul, he was just getting body blocked in the doorways. They weren't letting him get through. They were just converging onto him and not giving him space to move around the way we saw him do on Blood Covenant. So do you think perhaps even Burial Chamber could be a pick here? Because even though
that's a great map for Anarchy,
there is a lot of stuff to sort of collide with and sort of under the bridge and where the power-up spawns and where the Soul initially spawns and stuff like that, and you know, perhaps even in sort of more the caves / catacombs, whatever you'd call that area, almost like the cave area, I suppose. You have all that space around the side and near the cathedral that Anarchy can just build ridiculous speed, and you can't block him off. If Anarchy wants to run around, your only defense is shooting him out of the air. And if you're running an Anarchy, and if Defiance aren't running that champion and REunite are, we've already seen how much of a difference Anarchy can make on Burial Chamber. Do you think that might be the choice?
Well, we're talking about Burial Chamber, but we saw a very effective Sorlag and a very effective Anarchy on the side of REunite. And what is one map that both of those champions work really well on as well? Lockbox. Sorlag with that just defensive powerhouse of a champion on both points. Anarchy having lots of different routes to take. It's not just point A to point B when it comes to making the run. You've got the right-hand side all the way around. You've got the left-hand side all the way around. You can go straight down the middle, across the bottom, and then use the jump pad, straight across the middle, or even the top. Like, there are so many different variables Anarchy can go through.
And only 4 champions total to stop all of those exits, and even then...
You can't cover every exit.
And even if you're trying to cover the whole board, you've got one person covering everywhere they can possibly go. That's still a 1v1. What if Anarchy's got friends? What if he's got backup, which we see all the time? They'll get the Soul, and they will just mob through as a whole. But it sounds like Lockbox is going to be our third and final map of this first series.
If we see Galena, Sorlag, and Anarchy once again, all 3 of those champions are unbelievably effective on Lockbox for their own reasons. You know, there's just what makes those champions effective in Sacrifice. They all do unbelievably well on Lockbox. Galena has all those little areas where it's hard to see the totems. You can step on them. Lots of different teleporters and jump pads are used often, which means that it's going to be easy for her to sort of secure those areas. Bear in mind, we did see loads of Galena on Ruins of Sarnath getting lots and lots of totem kills. And looks like Butcher going back onto that Galena pick. Not surprised at all. Let's have a look at this composition.
So actually, it looks like Moni has gone for Blazkowicz instead of Nyx this time, so they have more of that kill potential. That could be important, considering Lockbox. We've seen a lot of fighting taking place over. I believe it's Obelisk B, the one that's favoured heavily. It's not the one that's sort of out of the way, tucked away in the corner. It's sort of up on that pedestal with all sort of the platforms up above it, sort of holding down near the acid pit, I should say. You know, when you've got sort of that doorway, and you can turn on the switch and just open up the floor.
I'm fairly certain that's Obelisk A. I think the one that's sort of outside near the teleporters, and you've got the acid pit on the bottom, kind of near the LG location.
Yeah,
I do believe that's Obelisk A, and that definitely is a preferred location for a lot of the teams that we've seen. But again, as we kind of expected, as the weeks are going on and we're seeing more and more gameplay, the teams are becoming more comfortable on both. We just saw on Ruins of Sarnath, right, where we saw Defiance very comfortably hold both sides. So as the game progresses, we're unlikely to see it be like, you know, well, this is just our favorite side, and if we don't get it, then it's just going to be harder. They're good on both.
That was a night and day difference, though. Because in the first map, REunite were basically looking in control the whole time. There was a bit of a shakiness to the first round, where they did seem to struggle to sort of seize the Soul back away. But as soon as they were able to hold on to themselves, they did great. And then in the second round, I should say, was the same thing much again. Whereas in that second map, at no point in Ruins of Sarnath did Defiance not look in control.
I mean, it's almost like that's why they picked the map, right? It's so important that teams can take the way they like to approach the game and apply that.
They have the same confidence in Lockbox.
So here we go. This is going to be a best of 3 series, which means that because both of these teams have won a map each, whoever wins Lockbox is going to move on in this bracket. And whoever doesn't win here, I mean, that's it. Last chance.
But this is it, though. Defiance. No one on the side of Defiance is a particularly big body or tanky champion. So they aren't going to have quite the sustain in the fight, but they do have a ton of damage. And Subs is able to secure this first pass over. Oh no, Piccalilli isn't quite there to pick it up in time. They're going to quite easily get hold of Obelisk A.
However, we have seen a distinct lack of beef hurt teams in the past on Lockbox because it is so close quarters. There are so many fights going on at all times, not having any champions that can really soak up damage.
Oh no! Oh! And that is Lockbox. So much acid all over the place. And unfortunately, Wix was able to get a clutch rail there, but unfortunate suicide has given REunite a 15% lead already.
That was a Quake 1 death. Got to start the whole map again. Sorry. Right at the end.
Able to get hold of it. Getting intercepted, but he does have his teammates. But Piccalilli says absolutely not. And he's getting body blocked once again.
body blocking Anarchy definitely kind of looks like a very useful option to deal with him. I mean, if he can't move and he runs straight into a gauntlet, if there's a couple of you there, just don't let him go past you.
Or trying to run through, but straight into the belly of the beast. Piccalilli is able to take it away. Doesn't have anyone immediately in front of him, but we can see him taking a ton of damage from behind. Puts the soul down, but he isn't able to pick it up. And Subs, once again, Subs is always there to just pick it up when his teammates unfortunately miss it.
I think that's just a level of team coordination. Just good awareness. If anything goes south, you've at least got that extra person behind you to just sort of like almost clean it up, take it anyway. But there's a big push coming out of Defiance. They pass it on to Butcher. Lovely deliverance right there. However, there's a lot of members of REunite lying in wait with that Sorlag acid, but is it going to be enough? Defiance really trying to push it through. Fabs having the soul back, passing it back, but accidentally pass it to Fearless, who gets fragged. It doesn't matter. But Piccalilli, loads of health. Gone
There's anyone in the way to stop him from dropping this off at the very least. Even if he drops down here with this low amount of health, which looks like he is going to be able to heal himself up anyway, he's able to do it. There goes that totem.
Fabs with the protection though.
Uh-oh.
And now they're holding the soul, looking at how much health and armor. I mean, if you look at that health and armor count with protection, looking to make it even bigger actually with that mega health. The second Fabs appears on this fight, he is going to be a headache for all 4 members of Defiance.
I mean, we can already hear it starting to run out, but still has quite a generous amount of time left. You can see just how non-existent that self-damage is when you've got Ranger, who already hurts himself less with his own damage. And then you put protection on top of that, he just does not care about self-damage whatsoever.
I mean, he didn't really get many frags off that protection, but at the same time, the percentage was just continuing to climb. Defiance were not able to even contest it. So the fundamental point of we have power up and get free percentage still applied, they just didn't get the frags. So that was still a win-win for REunite. And look at how comfortably they are still establishing this. Fab's really sitting pretty up top. He's got a bunch of health.
Ran out of rockets though. That is unfortunate. Cosmar able to nail him into oblivion as he goes down. A lot of frags still coming out. Obelisk still needs to be attacked. 75% almost now being contested. No, really there's still plenty of REunite on deck to defend it, but at the same time, Defiance have 3 people on the floor.
But again, this entire result has really spawned from the fact that they got that soul first. They were able to take an obelisk they wanted, and they've just held it the entire round. Not a single ounce of percentage on Defiance so far. But this might be their chance. However, that's a long trek, especially when there's an enemy with rail. Plenty of enemies left to go as well.
Fab stole it from right underneath them. That is unfortunate. They let him get away with that. Is he even going to die? No, he isn't.
Oh,
wow,
Fab
with a sneaky play. Steals the soul from amongst the entire enemy team and gets away on what is basically 1 hit away from death.
Here comes just the lone Blaskovic, who has managed to hit the soul. Plenty of teammates there ready to help him, but a big fight breaks out once again. Look at the fact that the power-up is going to spawn at this stage. They're trying to head him off anyway. It's going to be a 1 versus 1. No, just literally leaping over his head. And it didn't work out. No, couldn't quite get there. But it is going to be enough. Piccalilli, though, with the quad damage. Anarchy heavily stacked and quad damage in hand. This might be game over if he can get to his own obelisk.
This is unfortunate because Anarchy has it. This champion, you cannot contain him. And now he does 4 times the damage. And he drops it off. 10% left to go. I don't know if Defiance can do this with this quad damage off the table.
And Piccalilli actually really taking the fight to Defiance, not even letting them get close with that injection, doing a bunch of health back up there. But, I mean, the second he went out there and didn't even let Defiance get near the obelisk, that was a complete free take.
Ever so slightly too late to contest. So close, but so far, and a very convincing round. Very convincing indeed goes on the way of REunite. I mean, that's that power-up, man. They got both of them.
It's an absolute game changer. The second it spawns, but in those instances, it's like it's almost like difficult to pull away from what is normally your primary objective. We saw Defiance take the soul. They were finally ready to try and deliver it, and then the power-up spawns, where it's like, well, we've finally got the soul. We should be maybe piling all into this power-up and try and take that instead, but if we don't get percentage now, we may not get it throughout the rest of the round, and it just didn't work out. They got the power-up once again, and they just held it. Here comes REunite. They got it once more, but even though he went down, Piccalilli goes down as well.
Cosmar with a good positioning, though, being able to cut him off in the most common way. And actually looks like, yeah, he's going to take the soul for himself and drop it off to Obelisk A.
But look at how many members of REunite are there to take it. So many members of REunite trying to bring this soul back. They managed to go over as well. No frags. Sorlag, even though he took less damage or no damage from the acid, it didn't matter at all. Too many members of the enemy team there to just blow him up.
And just this soul isn't able to leave this point in particular. He's passing it to each other. Those up way top tries to change things around and go from up. REunite in a position to stop him from capturing this. Doesn't look like anyone is there at the moment.
Now Wicks with that safe delivery. They need to get some substantial percentage on deck right now. And here comes Pirkalele. Very clean LG, minimal damage taken, but not much damage on the board anyway. It's going to be very hard to take that. Yeah, no doubt. Cosmar going in for that die roll just for the splash damage on combination of his rockets as well. Nice amount of area denial. Sups, very little health and armor. Be surprised if he makes this one out alive, but looking like this right now, not much contention. As I said, that Wicks gets a rocket on deck. Butcher trying to deliver it back, heavily stacked up.
Yeah, way too stacked to get shot from behind though. He's going to take this one down. Only 12% though, so even though it's been a minute and a half, not as much percent as you might be able to see so far.
It's a far cry from the last round that we saw, for sure. Nice rail. Pirkalele now taking big damage. Tagged with the second rail back to back. Butcher throwing down that tome just to try and deny, but not really close to anything, so more of a heal, I think, in that situation. And did work out. Look how much health they've got. Or are still off.
But once again, this is a big thing for Defiance. Their team composition is so damage focused and so aggressive. When they actually do manage to hold on to an obelisk, they can just put down a ridiculous amount of consistent damage to hold on to it.
Your team has the quad.
For the quad though, the power up is in field. And it goes where Fearless has it again. That's a problem.
Yep, I think it's the fact that Defiance has the... I mean, it's almost like a flip side of what we saw last time. The defending team getting access. There's actually that totem as well to get some free health if Fearless needs it. Nice amount of, I think, just fortification on the side of Defiance at this stage. Uh-oh. Oh, no! Committed suicide with a rocket in the complete neutral area.
That is very unfortunate. Butcher commits suicide too, but takes 2 frags out first.
I guess at least he committed suicide at the very end of quad damage, so that wasn't punished with a return quad.
So only has 3 health though. Oh, manages to dodge a rocket, but Fearless is not going to miss the second one.
Butcher actually secured a totem frag right there. And at the very last minute, REunite managed to bring it to their own obelisk, but it wasn't enough. And no, Fearless kind of fumbles the soul toss a little bit. Misses the pass to Butcher. Now Sups has it in hand. Getting these 2 frags will be very important, but he's very weak. Yeah, no doubt we saw him go down there. Here comes Fearless. Misses 2 out of those 3 rockets, so minimal damage done.
Oh, it looks like for the first time they are going to be able to secure the soul into the obelisk. They are indeed. Now the question is, can they hold it? Defiance, 46%, but we've already seen how quickly that can add up on a good defense.
This is
so
pretty much
we find ourselves even very soon. 100 health to go with. All the armor gets taken from under his feet. Oh, and Defiance are here in force to try and seize this one back. Acid comes out, they get the kill, drop it back off immediately. Oh, but he misses that rail, that could be quite important.
Galena can be deceivingly hard to hit with the rail at times, but not a problem with those 2 rails at all in a row. This is actually the first time we've seen on this map Obelisk B actually get defended throughout this series. But look at that power up, it's going to spawn. What's it going to be? Protection. Fabs, though, quite weak. Definitely needs to get a little bit of health before he pushes this one.
Oh, he says he's not. Oh, he tried with 1 health, but Pirkalele able to take that one down.
I mean, he had protection, but he had essentially just nowhere near enough to even tank that super shotgun because it does so much damage. 120 if you get a good point blank.
What a play by Pirkalele. Seizes the soul, captures it himself, and uses his protection damage reduction to rocket jump above them and just put rockets down for a double kill. Pirkalele, the unsung hero.
Nice clutch awareness as well. And now just a good solid defense. Wicks coming out from behind though. But at this stage, REunite on the verge of catching up.
I say catching up, they've
tied it.
Tied it up. Defiance able to contest it though. Only a super shotgun on the side of him. All 6 damage, not quite getting the damage he wants.
Yeah, he got minimal damage, goes in for the injection, but probably gonna go down anyway. Yes, with 1 HP, cannot do it. Wicks trying to fight back. That defensive Galena totem really gonna head them off. The wall jump, saving him from actually going down through the corkscrew.
But all of REunite are here to stop him from capturing it, and there is double kill. Ouch, that will do.
That was sick. Double dire orb. That bad.
Oh no! Oh no!
Okay, that was the rail. That wasn't the totem. That was the rail. Oh no!
Lose by everything.
It's in the wall. He couldn't get out of the wall. Now Butcher manages to take it instead. That's so unfortunate.
They're here trying to stop the capture. Cannot stop the capture, but Subs with the gauntlet kill. 2, 3 frags going down. One drops. The Pirkalele, 20 health though.
Yeah.
Meager health amounts. Tops himself back up though. You can always see though, take those injections, 82 max health, he's popped 7 of them so far. Crosmar unable to stop him.
Now,
Another safe capture.
they're going to drop this off the obelisk, but that is because every member of Defiance is on there to try and command this power-up. If they get this power-up, which is going to be quad damage, Fabs though with another Dire Orb kill. He is doing absolute work with that Dire Orb in this round. Unbelievable. Here comes Fearless
though. We've seen how dangerous he can be, but he gets taken down immediately. And Wix though, very important, is able there to secure the quad damage. You can see it has the vast majority of its time left to go.
Well, there's no one on B to try and contest this. He's got about half of that quad damage left as well. Gets met in the air. And Sup eventually goes down, but he spent so long to try and secure the frag because the amount of health Zorlag had left. It's passed on to Fearless, who's now going to try and make that marathon all the way back. They have to get this. They need to tie things back up.
Pigleli, I think. There we go, use the sneaky other way. Up top. Oh, Pigleli.
Nice.
He knew he was going to go there, but didn't have the health to survive that rocket.
Now they need to hold this for as long as possible, even though
this really is make or break for Defiance though, because if they can hold on to this, they're in a really good situation to take the round and tie things up. But REunite, they're just able to do such a good job of just taking it away. Mona, this Blazkowicz pick just doing so much work for him at the moment, just the amount of damage he can put out.
I mean, the maps are 1-1. If Defiance lose this round, they're out, and that will be everything when it comes to playing Sacrifice. This is the final qualifier. If they don't win this round, it's all over. And REunite will obviously move on.
75% though, 25% left. These guys might have a mere 50 seconds left of Quake World Championship life.
And that percentage is just ticking up piece by piece. They have only 20% left to go. Defiance really trying to make this push, but only a couple of them in here right now. And Fearless gets taken out by a couple of really well-placed rails by Monet, who's just going to consistently sit there and land these rails back to back. Does miss one, misses another, and gets punished by rockets.
Oh, Cosmar just got taken down though. That could be huge. He was doing such a good job of just getting frags on that defensive position, but Cosmar's down 4%, 3%.
Defiance have to make the push. Defiance need to make the push. They can't go for the power up. They have no chances unless they push right now. 99% on the side of REunite. Oh no.
Oh no. The protection. They're able to take it, they've stolen it away.
But can you take it back from an Anarchy with protection? I don't think it's possible. They're going to bring it back, and that might have been all she wrote.
He's dropped it. 2 seconds left. There's no one here. There's no one here.
Wrap it up. That's it. Game over. REunite move on. Defiance eliminated once again. And unfortunately, their chances in the Quake World Championship for Sacrifice are now no longer possible.
But what a series though. That's what we were expecting to see. That 2-1 finish. REunite able to win 2-1. Very, very close. And that's what we were hoping to see. But at the same time, Defiance, Ruins of Sarnath really being their saving grace, I think. I mean, as a team looking just horrifically well prepared on that map.
Horrifically well prepared.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like,
oh, I definitely know what you're saying.
They were disgustingly ready for that map. That's more
I do
what I
agree
was
with
trying
that.
to say.
Well, we saw the change to Lockbox, which you might have thought would have been like a continuation of how well Defiance were able to play their own game, because the map complemented a lot of their champions. But on the flip side of that, REunite clearly know a thing or two about Lockbox as well, and they played really well. The Anarchy, again, made a massive difference. At the very end, when Anarchy got his hands on protection, and he was essentially unkillable at that final moment. The second Anarchy got protection at the end, that was basic.
Oh, Fearless.
Oh. But the second Anarchy got protection at the end, it was pretty much game over. I don't think there was anything Defiance could have done to stop that, because he had too much health. They had 1% left to take. They had to be very bold and just push the point and contest it. While they're contesting it, they're going to take a buttload of damage from everyone else on the side of REunite, let alone the Anarchy, who right here, I mean, he just survives so much of this and just gets frags after frags after frags. He's hard enough to hit anyway, and it's an amazing champion that no doubt we're going to see picked more and more throughout the course of the night.
The thing is though, how many times did we say to each other, uh-oh, Anarchy has the power-up? Over and over again, this champion, when he has access to it, is just so terrifying. Be it protection, because he's just impossible to kill, especially if he's just doing damage to you the whole time. If he's got quad damage, now it becomes really dangerous to chase him and intercept it. Like, such just a lethal champion in the hands of someone good with him. But this was Ruins of Sarnath, obviously that second map that we saw Defiance go to once they lost the first map, and they looked incredibly dominant. I mean, just look at these percentages. This was, in the end, 99 to 58. I believe they actually got a clean 100% sweep on the first round, and it's like, or in one of these rounds, I should say, at the very least.
Well, the first,
very good.
The first round was definitely closer, and then that second round for Defiance was just 100% theirs. There are a couple of instances here where they tried to really sort of, when REunite would take the soul, they would try and re-deliver it, but a couple of really, I guess, fumbled soul tosses to really prevent it from going in their favor would just bounce back.
I think that was the main thing that hurt REunite in that second map, though, was just they weren't being quite as clean in their passing of the soul, which we've already seen is a crucial thing to do in sacrifices mode, is being able to pass that soul over to your friends, to your allies, who are in the correct positions. And if you mess that up, I mean, you've already seen the difference a few good seconds can make.
That was an amazing play. That was such a good play.
That was the best play of the map by far, without a doubt, Piccaleli, because he had the protection. He was able to secure it properly. We always seen how much difference that was going to make.
As well.
And then that play, that rocket jump into that clean double kill, that's everything we want to see. And, dare I say, maybe won the team the game.